what it really means to be living in the present. So, per usual, I'm going to kind of just jump right into it. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. Lorraine will check the chat and kind of keep me posted if there are questions. But we'll take about a half an hour and then we'll have questions and answers if you have any. What I would like to start to do is I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. I think I can do it like this. Yep, there we go. So what does it mean? What does living in the present really mean? Um, now you might say, well, where else would I be living, right? There's really four states of mind. Um, and we need to become more aware of what state of mind we're operating from, because we can be operating from the past, the present, the future, or I've recently added the distracted state of mind. Okay, and we'll get into what each of these mean in a couple minutes. What I would like to do to start the session is something just called the senses exercise. We'll just take a couple of minutes, and I'd like you to just sit back in the seat that you're sitting in, take a few deep breaths. And the reason I have these pictures up here is because you can do this with a cup of coffee, a cup of water, a little wrapped candy, taking deep breaths, a peelable piece of fruit. You can do it anywhere with just about anything. You can do it just simply sitting on your own. I'd like you to just take a few minutes. Start by inhaling, take a deep breath, then hold it and exhale. And let your body, as you exhale, let your body start to really relax into the chair that you're sitting in or the couch or wherever you are. Put your feet flat on the ground and look to what we're going to do right now is engage all five of our senses. So that's why if you have a cup of coffee or a refreshing glass of water or something near you, you can use them as well. So we're just going to come in, listen to my voice. We're going to close our eyes gently, not tight, just gently. Again, take some deep breaths. The best way to come into the present moment is to focus on our breathing. So before reacting to a situation, breathe, right? Breathe, hold it for a few seconds, and let it out and truly exhale. As you're exhaling, really again, feel your body sink into wherever you're sitting. Let your feet go, relax the tension in your feet, your hands, your shoulders, your neck, even if your neck kind of just, your head bobs forward sometimes. Let that feeling just be in your body. Just be in your body. And then take a moment and just, if it, engage your sense of smell. Do you smell your candle? Do you smell the fresh spring air? Do you smell your cup of coffee? What is around you that you smell, right? Then what are you hearing? Are you hearing silence, which a lot of times is a really welcome sense of silence? So many people don't recognize the importance of being silent and still. Are you hearing other people chatting? Are you hearing music? Just tune into what, are you hearing the birds chirp? Right? Whatever it is in the present moment. And then if you do have a cup of tea or coffee or a piece of candy or something, please take the time and really smell that, smell the coffee. If you're, yeah, just think, I am enjoying my cup of coffee. Just smell your coffee, right? This is going to reinvigorate my body, right? And just be right here now. And then slowly open your eyes and look around. Where are you? Are you in your sacred space? Are you in an office? Are you in your bedroom? Are you outside? And just let your eyes focus on something that brings you joy. If it's a painting, if it's the blue sky, right? And just think, be here now. Right? Take another deep breath. And then let me know, feel free to chat and talk into the conversation. What were you thinking during this exercise? Any thoughts? I see Leslie looking around. Feel free to unmute yourselves if you'd like.
Yeah. So I happen to be in my office, which is in my home,
Mm-hmm.
but I have sliding doors, so the door is open.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking how perfect, because I can hear the birds. I could smell, I have lilacs in the back. I could smell the lilacs. I was like, oh my God, I finally picked the right place to do something like this. So, but I was able to really drink it. I mean, I do smell the lilacs. I smell my coffee, but to really just concentrate on the lilacs and hearing the birds
Right.
and the occasional lawnmower that's going on outside, but all of that,
Right.
and
But
appreciate it.
yeah, and that's what's key, Leslie. You
Mhm.
were able to appreciate it. So that's what being in the moment feels like. Now, sometimes people say, well, that's impossible to feel that way throughout the day. But it is not, because all it took was a couple minutes for us to reset our mindset and to come into the moment. And we're going to talk in a little bit about other tools to help us come into the present moment. But just something like that offers a reset, whether it's breathing, whether it's taking a morning or afternoon cup of tea or coffee, refreshing glass of ice water, feeling the cold, refreshness in your on your tongue, all of that, right? So remember, it's really important for us to do that a couple times throughout the day. And again, we're going to get into more tools in a couple minutes. Okay? But here we are now in the present, so let's just focus on thinking about what mindset we're often operating from, right? Because the present is ideal, but a lot of times we're pulled in different directions, which is understandable. So, if we're, and we want to start to be aware of our mindset. So, if we're operating from the future, like, we're anticipating the future, there's three different ways we could be thinking about the future. We may be daydreaming, right? Or manifesting some kind of, oh, if I win the lottery tonight, where would I go, right? Or about our upcoming trip, a dream trip that we want to do. And that's fine to daydream within reason, because it can be fun to ask those questions, asking a friend, where would you go if you won the lottery? What would you do, if you could go anywhere in the world? It's fun to daydream, again, within reason. The second way we're operating in the future is we may be planning. And that's a lot of our jobs as, in the workforce, as parents, right? So again, that is a needed necessity. And again, we need to do it within reason, because we don't want to be on that dream vacation and planning for the next vacation, or planning, something else. We want to be in the present on that dream vacation, right? So planning is good, again, within reason. Another way we could be anticipating the future is we're worrying about it. And that's where a lot of us spend too much time and energy and physical and mental energy on worrying. And that's based on fear and anxiety. And that is not a helpful way to be. So, what we want to do as we go through these four different mindsets, we want to start to think going forward, catch ourselves. Okay, I just planned my daughter's graduation event. Done. Okay, I needed to plan it. But am I constantly planning it? Am I planning it to the point where I'm not going to enjoy it and I'm not doing anything else? I'm becoming obsessed with it? That's not healthy. Am I making phone calls and getting out an invitation list? Sure. Again, within reason. So we want to be aware of what our mindset is. The second place our mindset could be operating from is the past, right? Now, we may be feeling nostalgic, right? We might be having a school reunion. We might be celebrating a milestone birthday, something like that. And we think, oh, I wish I was still 25, right? Or oh, I wish I was still in high school, or I wish I was still, friends with those people, whatever it might be. And again, within reason, ladies, that is acceptable, right? What is not acceptable is when we beat ourselves up and when we're living in the past with a sense of regret and we're shooting on ourselves. I'm sure people have heard that expression. I should have done this differently. I would have done that if I could have. I could have been a nurse. I could have been a doctor. I could have gone back to school. And that sense of judgment, which we talked about earlier this year in a webinar, our voice of judgment, when we hear that voice of judgment yelling at us and coming down and blaming and shaming us about what we should have, could have, or would have done differently in the past, that is not a helpful state. Again, it's mentally and physically draining us. However, if we do look back in the past and we have like a moment of, wow, I really learned from this experience. And we have like a life review, right? Wow, I realized that job didn't work for me. And so I left that job and now I'm looking for a different job and I'm looking for a job in this industry, right? That's helpful because that's looking back without judgment, right? And learning from our mistakes. So that's another place our minds can be. The the third mindset is what I call now our distracted mind. And a lot of us are operating from this distracted mind when we're talking with our kids or our friends and we're looking on our phones like I am now, right? And how does that feel? You're not talking to the person who's present in the room with you. You're distracted. This simple cartoon, summer vacations in the past, you see all the family members looking out at, let's say, the Grand Canyon or something, right? They're saying, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. They're in the moment, they're enjoying what they see in front of them. Present summer vacations, what are they doing? They're looking at their phones going, wait, I need to get Wi Fi. I want to take a picture of this maybe. What's the Wi Fi? They're not even seeing the beauty in front of them. And again, the beauty doesn't have to be like the Grand Canyon. It can be like Leslie said, it can be the smell of lilacs, right? Or hearing the birds chirp, right? Or hearing your baby coo or your little boy make music, like Lorraine was saying when we first got on, right? So those are different ways, but we want to be in the present. So when somebody is talking with us or we're talking on the phone, we want to try to do one task at a time, which is going to be a tool I'm going to mention again in a few minutes. So when we talk about being in the present, it's called mindfulness. And I don't know if, Leslie, would you mind reading this just so people hear a change of voice? But if you could just read this
Sure.
slide to help us understand what being the present really means and what the
Sure.
sense of awareness is. Thank you.
Mindfulness is simply being aware of what is happening right now without wishing it were different, enjoying the pleasant without holding on when it changes, which it will, being with the unpleasant without fearing it will always be this way, which it won't. Mindfulness is a non judging awareness.
Wow. How does that sound? Does that make sense? Any questions? Any thoughts?
Makes so much sense.
Right. And so, as I've said in past webinars, the first step is a sense of awareness. So, when we become aware of something, of being mindful, that's a great first step. So, those are the four states of mind: past, future, distracted, and present. Now, where are we most peaceful? In the present, because we're handling or we're enjoying exactly what's in front of us, or we're dealing with what's in front of us without going down the path of fearing, like, oh my gosh, who's this little person I'm raising? They're a monster, without projecting that they're going to be crazy and stubborn for the rest of their life. You know what I mean? We're just dealing with this. Okay, she won't eat her vegetables tonight. Like, let's just stay in the moment, right? It doesn't mean that she's not going to ever eat vegetables. She's going to be unhealthy. We don't want to go there. Deal with what's in the moment. So, one thing that I always advise people to do is to put on our little, I have a business coach who calls our phones weapons of mass distraction. Weapons of mass distraction, right? There's a lot of good that the phones can do, but we have to be aware of them. One way we can use them that are really helpful is to put in 3 different times during the day, set an actual alarm to go off, and put in that alarm, label it, be here now. Set it 3 different times during the day where you don't know where you're going to end up. So, don't set it for, 6 a.m. because you're going to be in bed. Set it for 2 a.m. No, 2 a.m. Hopefully you're sleeping. 2 p.m. Set it for whatever time throughout the day. And when that alarm goes off, notice it and do 2 things. One, recognize what's your state of mind. Are you operating from the past, the present? Are you distracted right now? Right? And then think, okay, now I'm going to come back to the present and read that. I'm going to be here now. Does that make sense? and it'll go off 3 times a day. If that's too many for you, do it twice a day, do it once a day, make it work for you, but have it go off regularly and start again to become aware of what is our mind state,
We.
mindset. Somebody have a question? What is our mindset? So we become more aware of it. And I will tell you, I have recognized that, you know, I will be talking with one of my teenage daughters, and again, it'll happen. They'll be saying something, and I'll get worried about, I'll start to think about how this will project and how it will affect them. A negative grade, let's say. Actually, I don't do this anymore at all, but my husband does, and I see it, right? But he'll project, oh my God, if they got a bad grade on this, and this is going to happen, and he goes all the way down, right? It's like, come on, this is a one-off. Let's figure out how to deal with this grade. What did they learn from it? What went wrong? What can they fix? And let's move on. But it doesn't project everything. Let's be in the moment with them. They're upset about it, or maybe they don't care about it. Let's talk about what it means right here now. Okay, I hope that's a helpful example. Does that make sense? This kind of, and I call it a live with because that's what we want to do. We want to live with this mentality. We want to start to be here now. Make sense?
It
Yep.
does.
Okay. The other tool that I highly recommend, and people, and especially women, they say, "Oh my God, well, we're always multitasking." And multitasking to a point, again, it's acceptable. But what I want to challenge you to do is do one task at a time as often as possible, right? So if you are talking on the phone with your mother, right? You can be emptying the dishwasher. Sure, that's mindless, right? You could be folding the laundry. That's mindless. But don't be talking on the phone with your mother and reading your texts because you're completely distracted then, right? I mean, sure, folding laundry, you can do that, right? You can have the phone on speaker and you can be talking to her. But so that's within reason. But don't be listening to your child and trying to get a report done, right? I have found it much more helpful and more powerful if I put my computer down, if it's appropriate to do it this time, put my computer down, look at my child, listen to them in that moment, help them resolve something, and then go back to doing what I was doing, right? Or complete a project without answering my phone or doing texts in between, right? Just sit, take 25 minutes, do the presentation, and then look at my phone and stuff, right? And then put aside time. I'm going to check texts for 15 minutes at 8 a.m., 12 noon, and 5 p.m. Otherwise, I'm not checking texts, right? And people can either start to understand that's your cycle, and if they need to call you in between that, that's fine. If your job doesn't allow you to do that, then you need to figure out what works for you, right? But you don't always have to be checking texts. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Another exercise and another tool we can use to help us become in the present moment is something called a mindfulness exercise. And we can do this with the ones that we love, our friends, our family. And an example would be to do one task at a time and do it, immerse yourself in it, right? So take a walk around the block, especially during this time of year, and notice, maybe pick one color, pick the color pink or purple, right? So whatever it is, and notice everywhere you see that color, right? Or notice, maybe count the number of colors you see as you walk around the block. Because a lot of times, what are we doing? We're walking around the block and we can be looking at our phone, we can be texting someone else, we can be on the phone, right? Maybe sometimes it's just better, if we want to exercise, to take those 20 minutes and relax and be in that moment. And then we come back and we have more energy to do our other tasks, right? So be aware. Let yourself focus on the colors. Cook a meal. Cook a meal with your family and have everybody put their phone in the basket. Cook a meal and again, engage all 5 senses and then sit down and enjoy that meal and pick a time when it's appropriate for you to all do that, right? If somebody in the family works on a Sunday, then you can't do it on a Sunday, right? But if everybody's free on a Thursday evening, do it then, right? Eating a meal, again, sitting around the dinner table, eating a meal. Take a shower and just be in the moment, feel the water, right? We are so blessed in this country to have clean water come right into our homes. So just relax. Even if it's I don't take long showers. When I'm in the shower, I am thinking, we are so blessed. This is so refreshing, right? And most of the time, all of us are doing that sometime during the day, but it's not going to help us to be in the shower and think about, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this. I didn't do that last night, I didn't do that last night. Just be in the moment, right? And then you walk, and then when you do that, you're more powerful. You're set up to be more successful during the day. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So, lastly, maybe Lorraine, you want to read this.
When we stay in the present, we make wiser choices and take things less personally.
Now, does that make sense to you guys? Because, right,
Yeah.
especially as a parent, we think that. But even as a coworker or colleagues, when we stay in the moment, we can be more calm and peaceful. So we're more able to respond versus react based on fear or anxiety or worry and regret. And we take things less personally because we're thinking, okay. I just listened to an interview with Pink, the singer, the other day, and she was laughing. She said, everybody thinks I've got it together. She said, but really, it's like a life. She said, motherhood is all about like, okay, let's deal with this now. Like, what's happening here? Like, we'll figure this out, right? That's my mantra. We'll figure this out. But that's what life is in every aspect. Like, okay, we'll figure it out. Like, most of the time, it's not about you. That person who cut you off on the highway, they are not thinking about you. Maybe they're thinking you're driving too slow, but they're really thinking about what they need to do. There's no need for road rage, right? So, again, coming back to the present moment helps us be more powerful. So, overall, this is a summary. We want to start to become aware of what our state of mind is now that we've recognized the healthy way to be in the future and the past. That's okay to plan. It's needed to plan ahead in the future with work and our personal lives. It's understandable to look back on our life and see what we've learned and look at good memories. Great. But anything based on fear or worry, not helpful. Again, that voice of judgment, like we talked about a couple months ago, screams out, blames, and shames. We're not in a helpful state of mind. Being distracted, when you're absolutely trying to do too much, we feel more scattered and we're less likely to get anything done. Everybody thinks, oh, I'm a great multitasker. Study after study shows no, nobody's really a great multitasker, right? So look to be present to the one in front of you as often as possible. And the live with, be here now, we're going to set our timers. The senses exercise that we did at the beginning, you can look to do that with your breath a couple times a day. The one task at a time, look to do that. Get off the phone, get off the webinar now, and do one thing and complete it instead of like folding part of the laundry, then picking up the phone, then going downstairs. Just sit, fold the laundry. You don't have to always pick up the phone when it rings, not all the time, right? I mean, I always check to see if it's my mom or dad, make sure they're okay. I know my husband always checks for work. I check for work sometimes, but even work, sometimes I don't have to answer it right then and there, right? And then the mindfulness exercise of emerging and letting yourself engage fully in one task. So those are different ways of being in the moment. I hope that you have found them helpful. The last quote that I have here is, when we try to control everything, we enjoy nothing. So sometimes we just need to relax, breathe, let go, and live in the moment, right? When we're trying to control, I see Lorraine's little boy who's adorable. When we're trying to control like our kids and everything that they're doing all the time, not good. If it's something that it's not safe, of course we have to step up. But if they're just, doing something we don't have to constantly be in control of everything and everyone, right? Take a step back and let people be in the moment as they are. Any other thoughts or questions? That's the presentation today. That's the exercise, the mindset, the lesson. I'm happy to answer questions.